Well, welcome to Hey, it's the Luskos. It is a beautiful day. It's a fall day, October 7th. Jennifer Lusko, how are you today?
I'm so good. I love the fall. I love the crisp mornings and the warm days and the leaves changing and
Apple cider
pumpkin
vinegar, spice latte. Whoa, easy. No, I don't want anything to do with apple cider vinegar. Had a bad experience one time.
Oh gosh, don't
I will
say
say I like that you're wearing a shirt that says Levi's.
I am, because it's true.
And I like that you
Levi's.
are. And we are grateful that you're watching today, listening today. We have a very special episode today. We have the chance, as you saw in the description, to sit down with our friends Christian and Sadie Robertson Huff. Well, it's Christian Huff, it's Sadie Robertson Huff, and they are a dynamic duo and a force for good in this world.
Yeah, they really are. It's a really encouraging, inspiring conversation. Love them so much.
They are doing so many things constantly, writing books and speaking, and they have their first baby, Honey. We talk a lot about that. I will say if you are dating, engaged, married, this would be a great episode for you to listen to, or send a link to a friend, share this with someone. There is a challenge late in the podcast to Photoshop. So we're calling any graphic designers. We do need you to mod Sadie's new book cover and put Christian up a tree. So if you listen to the end and tag us on Instagram when you do come up with some sort of art, please tag the Robertsons also, and the Huffs also, so we can see this. The two last names keeps tripping me up there.
Yeah, I feel like that we.
I should just call them the Huffs.
Yeah, I feel like we need to have some kind of reward for someone who turns in this
Photoshop assignment,
this piece of art.
I'm excited to see what the people come up with, Jenny. This conversation, though, would be great for someone who's in that relational stage, college age, or any new parents. We do talk about their journey in pregnancy, babyhood, life. And then, of course, we do get to talk a little bit about Sadie's new book, which is a devotional, which is super cool. And I love a good devotional.
Yeah,
I love having some structure to my time with Jesus. Yeah.
Honestly, it's like a warm up for me. Some days it's what I read in my devotional, but I feel like most days when I'm just trying to wake up, a devotional like this is a good just warming up.
Get the juices flowing.
And then reading whatever I'm reading in the Bible or whatever. But
100 devotions too. So this would be a good one to go through with someone in your life or a small group or anybody that you would want to maybe, hey, let's read this together and we can text and talk about it. And good stuff. As always, thank you for listening. Thank you for those of you who do share which podcast episode means something to you. That's helpful for us to just get feedback on, hey, this helped, something that encouraged you. As always, you can share the episode with a friend there, grab the YouTube link, text it to a buddy, or share the link to Facebook or whatever. And if you haven't yet, leave a review on Spotify. Nope, sorry. You can't leave reviews on Spotify. You can leave a review on Apple iTunes. Let us know the rating or anything that has encouraged you. And if you are just listening to the audio, do know that there's video too on Access More and on YouTube video as we put out these amazing videos in this beautiful location. Is that good?
Yeah.
You like that?
It's great.
Excellent. Enjoy this conversation, and we will see you soon. Well, welcome to Hey, it's the Luskos, you two. You beautiful people, you.
You too.
Wow, y'all beautiful people. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you for having us.
Oh my gosh. Sadie, it's a repeat visit, but Christian, the first time. Thanks for being on for the first time, bro.
Thank you for asking me to be on it for the first time.
I think this means too that you didn't have a scarred for life experience with us, Sadie. If you would, since you were willing to return back for more.
No, this means I like you guys a lot. No, I love you guys. I love getting to do anything with y'all, preferably where y'all live, because it was so much fun to be there and just get to hang out. But this works too. Yeah,
a lot of life has been lived since you were up in Montana preaching and doing. We did that back in the day. We were doing that War with Friends thing. So we played cards and had a conversation. And
Gosh,
fun.
that was a long time ago.
don't tell
a
Grandma Kay,
lot.
because you probably, does she frown on playing cards?
No, we love cards.
Okay.
Does she
Well,
frown
We're the
on it?
biggest card family.
We like our family. I don't know about Mama Kay, but we love cards. We play all the time.
Okay, who were we just talking to who told us that they weren't even allowed to play Uno as a child?
Oh.
Jackie Hill Perry. She said as a child, her grandma would not even let her play Uno because it was of the devil.
Oh my gosh.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, well, that was not what our family looked like. We were playing some spicy
We play
Uno.
spicy Uno.
So
Oh, what does
that's probably
spicy
even
Uno
more
look
from the
like?
devil.
We need to know about
Wow.
spicy Uno.
Yeah,
Y'all
what is-
never
Spicy Uno is the best.
have y'all ever heard of spicy Uno?
No.
Please tell. Well, you guys are Cajun. You guys are just Cajuns.
Everything's
you can't
spicy.
stop.
Everything's spicy. No, y'all, like if you think Uno's fun, put some heat on it, and it is so fun. So basically, it's Uno with just added rules, so it makes the game like way more entertaining and way more fun. So like, if a 6 comes out, you have to slap the table. Last person who slaps the table has to draw a card. If a 7 comes out, everybody has to be silent. Any
And
word
any word
spoken,
you say.
you have to draw a card for every word. Like it's just like really fun. If a 0, you play a 0, you can swap it with someone. So it's like very interactive. You get kind of upset with people, but it's hilarious. Like it's so fun.
Are there
That is
rules somewhere we could
amazing.
Google? Is it
Or did
or is
you
it
guys
just
make
all
those
Yeah,
up?
you can Google it.
Spicy
Yeah,
Uno.
I used to think that like, I was like maybe like people here just made that up, but then I met people in Virginia who play too, so I was like, oh, it's a thing.
It's an actual
So,
bona fide thing.
I'm sure you can Google it, and actually now you can buy. It's definitely a thing now, I've realized, because you can buy like spicy Uno cards where it has like blanks and you can add rules to the cards. So it's really fun.
Oh, we have that, but I didn't
I
know
don't think it's called spicy. We're gonna go down that road. We love Uno. We have the one where you push the button and sometimes it spews out a bunch of cards.
Okay.
you seen that
No,
one?
we haven't played
What is
that
that
one.
one called?
It's every time you do something, the card says, "Oh, you have to push the button," and it's like Jack Pop Goes the Weasel, where sometimes it spits out a
That's
bunch.
fun.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
And then we've done the
Lennox the other day was
Wild
literally-
Uno. I think there's Wild Uno.
No. the
Okay.
Wild,
There's all
no.
kinds of ones now. Now there's like dose.
Oh,
not kidding, like
that's
twos,
funny. I got
like
you. It took me a while to
Uno,
catch up with you.
dose.
Oh, that did
No,
just
like-
take me a while to figure
Like
that out.
I wish that I was trying to make a joke, but that's actually true.
It's a
like
thing.
there's like a game called dose.
Dose.
But yeah, the Uno world has really expanded in our generation.
That,
really has.
honestly, because when
To
we were kids, it was
an
just
ADD
regular
generation.
old Uno.
Yeah.
But now it's
I mean, if we can be proud of anything, it's that.
yes. So now
We've
it's like we'll be
taken
able to say to
Uno.
our grandkids, like, when I was your age, it was just
Yeah.
Uno. Now you're on Quattro CS, and
Yeah. And that's something we're proud to be a part of.
Wow.
I actually never played it until we met. So.
Really?
Yep, never played it.
Wow.
Okay.
Gosh, you're
Did you grow
welcome.
up
Yeah.
playing cards, Christian?
I did not. I still can't shuffle.
He can't-
Last week, her dad sent me a link that said, you need to learn how to shuffle.
Yeah.
Because every time we play a card game, I have to hand it to someone else because I can't shuffle.
And he like awkwardly holds his
Oh.
cards like this. Like it's actually like
It
very
was 2 links. It
unnatural
was,
for
it was
him.
how to shuffle and how to hold a deck of cards.
Christian, that is
Yeah.
some son-in-law shaming right there.
Oh my
I know.
god.
It was like a subtle like, hey bro, like here's
Hey,
a link.
yeah,
you should figure it out.
Hey,
I
Christian, we
believe-
would love for you to get your man card. Is what that basically communicates. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for Christmas they got him like a shuffler, like you put the cards in, it shuffles it for you, and they were like, just because you're not capable of shuffling.
They got
your
me a
cards.
shuffler and like a fan to
hold your cards?
To
Oh
hold
my
cards.
god.
Bro.
It's a thing. It's totally.
That
Hey,
is
we
so
believe
funny.
that you're going to be an amazing shuffler one day.
Thank you. I believe
Amen.
it.
Look at
We
Jenny
receive
speaking
it.
life over your card skills.
I believe it. I received
You
that.
needed that. We've
I
probably
received
been
that.
too hard on you.
Jenny's up in here prophesying and just speaking
Yeah.
life. You're just getting shamed to death over there. But it says it does seem like if you're going to be in the Robertson crew, you got to have some thick skin. Is that right?
Oh, 100%.
Oh yes, 100%.
What was the most
Yeah.
intimidating person to? I mean, obviously, I'm imagining talking to Sadie's dad. That whole process that would have been intimidating. But what was the
Yeah,
most daunting aspect coming in?
It's a good question.
That's a good question. Her dad was definitely, I would say, up front the most intimidating. And John Luke really intimidated me, actually. So we were riding somewhere with John Luke and Mary Kate. This is before we were engaged, and we were asking them about honeymoon places. And John Luke, straight face, said, well, I think you should get engaged first.
Ooh.
And it was
Like, no laughter.
No
like,
laughter. Like
I think that you have a step before this, and that would be engagement. Like, it was like,
yeah, I was like, oh crap.
I think I just nervous laughed. I was like, you're right. We should do that.
And then we got engaged like 2 weeks
Awkward.
later or something like that. So
Yeah.
Wow, that's
it was,
I will
funny.
say
close.
my dad used to, so my dad nicknames everyone, and he used to call Christian Nervous Purvis because for the longest time, we thought Christian had a stuttering problem, which was fine, but he didn't. He was just nervous. And what was really cool, though, it's his first time to, like, whenever he talked to dad about proposing to me, was like the first time he did not stutter. And like that, you always say you were not actually nervous in that moment.
Yeah.
And my dad like noticed that, and he's never called you that again.
Nope, he hasn't.
So you really like got courage.
But the nervous purpose was behind my back, which I found out.
Oh,
Brutal.
I didn't know that. Was
that
behind
is
your back. I thought you
so
knew
rough.
that.
Well, I have a
Wow.
lot of thoughts.
That
I
was
love that John Luke stuck it to you. What am I trying to say? Stuck it to you a little bit, because I love to think of
Yeah.
Lennox like having his sisters back in that way.
Oh, yeah.
And Nervous Purvis is savage. That is
Yep,
is brutal.
nervous purpose.
But I love that you tell the story, Christian, of asking
Yeah.
for Willie's permission. That would be a cool story to hear.
So I proposed in June. This was April. It was into April, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was into April. We were in Nashville. It was my mom's birthday, so my brother's playing baseball up there. Sadie was living at Nashville at the point, and Willie and Corey were in Nashville doing like an event or something. And I met them at the hotel that they were staying at, and I showed up. It was Nashville parking. It was like, I could not find a parking spot. So I was like 20 minutes late to this breakfast that I was meeting them at because I couldn't find a spot.
Oh my
I didn't
God.
even know that. That's
But yeah,
hilarious.
I parked like a quarter mile away. Then I ran, and then they were like in the.
You get there all sweaty.
You were nervous, but
Oh,
you
yeah,
were
yeah.
perspiring.
Yes, that is true.
So I promise this is not my nerves.
So I showed up, and it was the two of them. So I was meeting with both of them because they were there together. And we went to like the corner of the hotel lobby where we were eating breakfast, and I had like methodically thought out like basically word for word of what I was wanting to say. I had like sought advice from like friends and mentors and everything, and I kind of compiled it all to like my own little thing, and really none of it went to plan. But I nailed it, obviously, because here we are almost 2 years later married.
Totally.
So,
but it was great. Yeah,
Totally.
her dad was super nice and gracious, and her mom was awesome.
it probably
and
helped having mom there.
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
Softens
But, yeah,
Willie
they
a
gave me
little
the
bit.
go-ahead.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
She softens it.
Remember that afternoon? Remember that was when the Taylor Swift song came out?
Yeah.
What was that song?
I promise that you never find another like me. And we
And
were
I
just
picked
like,
her up, and we were like,
loving it.
that was in your Jeep, and we were just going so crazy to that song because they had said yes.
Yeah,
But-
because I knew that they were going to talk, which I guess is not totally traditional. Some people don't know that. But it was kind of one of those things where all the stars had to align. Like his parents were in town, my parents were in town. They had never met because Chance was his brother's playing baseball in Nashville. I was living there. So like finally, people who live in Florida and Louisiana and are all busy, and he lived in Auburn, were in the same place at the same time. So it was like, I knew that was like the moment because we had been talking about wanting
Yeah.
to get married.
But the morning that I had that conversation with her parents, that night, we all went to dinner.
Yeah, we all went to dinner.
So that was the first time my parents had met her parents.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so
And that
special.
morning, that
it
was when
special.
I had the conversation.
Yeah, it was really special.
Wow.
And Willie gave you the blessing straight away. He didn't make you suffer for a little bit.
No, he really didn't.
My dad really likes Christian. Even whenever he called him that, he loves Christian. And I think they were really relieved because I had like dated a lot of people, and not every person were they super big fans of, at least for me to date. Not that they were bad people, but just like bad, not good relationships. And so he was really thankful whenever Christian came into the picture. So he was probably like, yes, like,
Yeah.
I love this guy. Like this is the one.
Which
And
is why he
was,
gives me a hard time.
Of course.
Yes.
Oh, we tease those we love. Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
for
yeah.
Now, Christian,
sure,
did
yeah.
you watch Duck Dynasty like growing up? Like, was that on your
I did.
radar?
I did. So actually, yes, I actually did. We were all big fans of that.
They had like when I went to their house for the first time, I like opened the cabinet to get water, and his mom was like, "Oh my god, oh wait, like so sorry," and I was like, "What?" And I looked in there, and they had like a Duck Dynasty cup and
It
a
was one of those
side
like insulated
cup,
cups or
and
whatever.
I was like, "It's fine," like
That's
no worries.
hilarious.
I mean, we weren't like like that, like hardcore.
But you
fan.
But the whole
Totally
nation
like the
was
show.
at that point. I don't remember what year it was, but it was the number one show in America, and then it tied for number one again with The Walking Dead.
Dang.
Yeah, it was very
What
huge.
year would
So
that have been
I didn't
when it
think
was the number one
weird.
show?
Yeah. What year would that have
2013,
been?
2014.
Yeah, probably 2013.
I remember vividly because I made a
Okay.
joke at Easter that year. It was Easter time, and like the finale was coming up, and I remember it was like it was tied neck and neck with The Walking Dead, and I was making a joke at Easter about like, Easter is all about someone coming out of the grave to walk, but right now the whole country's obsessed with ducks and zombies and zombie
That
ducks.
is
And
funny.
anyhow, I just
That
remember
is
that
funny.
vividly.
We
Yeah.
laughed that I was destined to marry Sadie because my name is Christian, and my parents almost named me Hunter.
Yeah.
So it
And
kinda,
well,
it
no,
kinda
I
was
thought you were going to
that-
say something else. So whenever he was a freshman in high school, I guess I was freshman, we were at the same grade, but that Dynasty, had just come out, and he was watching it with his friends, and he told his friends that he was going to marry me, which was just so
You did not.
funny.
You called it.
Oh my
Yes,
God.
did. I
and
called
he
it.
You
and
called that
whenever I was
sucker.
on Dancing with the Stars, his dad, who like never says stuff like this, he's not like the dad that's like into the relationships. He said, Sadie, and he said, Christian, you and this girl Sadie would make a cute couple. So like my name had always kind of come up in their family, and it's just super weird. And like Christian never told me any of that, of course, when we were dating. And then when we went to get married, his friend texted him and was like, I remember in high school when you told all of us you were going to marry her. This is
Bro.
so weird.
Oh
So it was
my
kind of
gosh.
crazy. I thought
Yeah.
that's why you were destined. Yeah.
Well,
But it was
yeah.
weird. It was weird.
And the name being Hunter is almost Hunter is good too.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That works too. But
That is so crazy. Okay, so
pretty cool.
how did you guys meet?
Oh, he slid into her DMs, right? Isn't that it?
Well,
and actually, what's
I
funny
don't
about
know.
that story?
sort of.
What's funny about that story was that was the first Passion. Remember you spoke at that Passion,
So he went to Passion the first time I did the Q&A at Passion.
and
Yeah.
my friends said we might see her here, and you're the only one of us that would ever have a shot.
And so
Bicep
you
size.
should-
All about bicep size.
So,
they looked at each other and his were
so
bigger.
you should
So, yeah.
message her, which inspired me a few days it was.
So
later to
it was
message.
like January of 2017, and he DM'd me and was like, I just saw you at Passion. Like, I love what God's doing in your life and all this stuff. And then he said, and by the way, I think you're like the most beautiful girl. It was like such a bold message. And this is the thing. I never saw the message because I didn't follow him on Instagram, and I only see messages of people that I follow. So I never saw this. So then 2 years go by, and I'm in Seaside with
The
my
beach.
friends at the beach, which is where their family is
Oh,
from.
30A style.
Yeah, 38. And so I'm there with Lainey and Sarah and Gracie, and I had just gotten out of a relationship, and I was kind of like, I do not need to date for a while. Like, I just knew where I was at, and I like needed a break. And so I like told my girlfriends, like, I'm going to take a break from dating. And my friend was like, okay, well, then I'm going to video you saying this. And I was like,
Good one.
okay, put me on camera. So there I am, July the 2nd, saying it's Sadie Robertson, and I am not dating for a while,
Till
actually.
December.
Did you say
I
a
said
while?
December.
Because that's
I said
the guaranteed. Yeah.
December. I said December, and I was
She
only
gave
6
herself, like,
months,
6
but at the time, I just needed okay, 6 months, like just
A reboot.
Yeah.
not think about this, a reboot.
That's
So I
wise.
say this, and she records it. Okay, so that was great, except for the fact that the next day, I meet Christian, and
No.
The next
Yes.
day.
the next day,
Plot twist.
You
So-
guys, oh my gosh.
I know.
This is
I
amazing.
really had full intentions of following what I said the day before. But then,
best
I mean,
intentions.
I like to think that God had other plans because we were actually hanging out that night, and him and his cousin, we met, and it was so crazy because they knew my sister Bella. So I knew of Christian. I had never met him. And Bella had told me about his family. And so me and his girl cousin were kind of messaging to hang out. And so we did that night, and they brought Christian. And so all night.
And the whole time we were hanging out, I was hanging out with her friends because I was like, I don't want to look too pushy.
And I was avoiding him
Classic.
because I thought he was like super cute. And I was like, I just told them I'm not going to date anybody. So I cannot even like look in his direction because I like knew in my heart, I was like, if we start talking, like, I just know we're going to date
Oh
because
my
I just think he's so
gosh.
cute. So anyways, I avoided him all night. And then at the end of the night, he mentioned to me that I follow
I hate this part.
everyone in his family
Don't-
but him on
don't say
Instagram.
this part.
It's true, which is
Give
weird.
the people what
because
they want, Sadie.
You would never say that.
I would,
like,
no, it's still.
but I think it was the Holy Spirit because he just like happened to mention that I don't follow him on Instagram. And I was like, oh yeah, like you're right. I do not follow you on Instagram. And then that night
she had followed my brother, my cousin.
I followed everyone because Bella was like friends with all them, but I just hadn't followed him.
I was the only one.
I followed him that night. And then when I followed him, the DM from 2 years ago popped
Bingo.
up. And I was like, okay, yeah, forget what I said. Delete the video. I think there's something here. And of course, then we went on a date 2 months later.
But then, so when we started messaging, I got your number like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
And then we started FaceTime, and then I asked her on a date. And see, so you did kind of hold up to her.
Kinda.
Because when I asked her on a date, she said 2 months from now.
Well, no, I didn't. He said, what weekend works for you? And I said, how about September the 9th? And he said, like, in 2 months. And I said, yes. And it wasn't because
You're
I
like,
was
I have
busy.
to honor my
It was
oath.
because I needed to stall a little bit longer because I just told all my friends. And I not just said to all my friends, I really knew I needed to slow down.
You did want
And
to
I
reset,
knew
yeah.
I did want to reset. And that 2 months really gave us time to just genuinely get to know each other as friends. And we did not talk about dating. We did not flirt with each other. Like, besides the fact that you had told me I was beautiful in that message, that gave me indication that you kind of would like me. I wouldn't have known from those 2 months. Besides, we were constantly talking and we were sending each other books to read. And we were listening to podcasts. We listened to your stuff. I mean, we were just diving into what God was doing in our hearts. We read through Proverbs together and just really created like a solid foundation, which was the best reset ever because that set us up for such a solid relationship and set the tone of what our relationship was going to look like. So I think that you know how sometimes, you respond with a little yes to God and you think it's one thing, but it's actually for another. It's like, it's kind of like you say yes and then God leads you on like a rabbit trail. You're like, wow, I didn't even know I was going to discover this or that. But it started with like a simple yes. And that yes was just a reset. And then God took that and did something amazing with it.
That's so beautiful. And there's so much wisdom in that to be able to give God some space to move and to be and to lead. And I feel like that's such a wise inspiration for young people these days to not just go from one thing to the next, but to give God some space. I think that's so good and so encouraging and good for us.
Let me ask you this. What do you think are some trends maybe you're seeing? You guys are very connected to young people. You're in a lot of circles and places. And I'm just curious from your perspective, what maybe alarms you about what's happening with maybe even whether Christian dating or not? Obviously years ago we already were seeing Tinder and all that kind of stuff. But what are you seeing that maybe is to you signs of where kind of dating is moving that kind of alarms you a little bit, or just the state of romantic relationships in our Christian culture or at large?
Yeah. It's a great question. You want to go first?
Yeah. Well, I think first off the bat, I don't even know if you can call it dating anymore. Because I think if you look at this younger generation, it's just like talking and like that hookup culture to where it's really no commitment.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say the lack of commitment. Like, people do not commit and it causes so much confusion. And it's like, well, they said this, but they also said this to her. And then I saw them at this place. And, and like, if they were really, committed to you, like you would actually see the fruit of that commitment, like when Christian said that he liked me and wanted to date me, like I didn't ever have to question him, like his motives. Like I wasn't seeing him with other girls. I wasn't, hearing one thing, but then seeing another. Like everything he said was lining up with how he was acting. And I think that's such a huge thing. And I think now people just throw out words that are so empty because they're not following it with their commitment. Yeah. And those words are super confusing to, I'm not just going to say girls because it's for guys too. Girls are not committing to the guy and the guy is not committing to the girl. And with that, they're not being led to any type of good long lasting relationship. I think people don't realize that like the start of your relationship and how you begin a relationship and how you date is what sets up the foundation for what your relationship will be in the future, what your marriage will look like, what your relationship will eventually look like. And now people start so loose and they never commit and they don't take a turn. And so then they never have a foundation. They never have a good relationship because they don't have a foundation for it. Yeah. And so people have to start being more intentional about how they choose to pursue. And then when it's time to commit, and then affirm the person with where you're at, because I never had to question where he was because he told me, we never were wondering what each other was thinking. It wasn't, staying up at night anxious over like what he's going to do tomorrow. I knew what he was going to do tomorrow because he made it very clear what he was going to do. And so I think that communication is so crucial, but I think you only have that whenever you've decided and chose to commit.
Yeah, that's good. It is that lack of attention. And like you said, Levi, you brought up Tinder. And I think now it's like Snapchat. And, it's just that perversiveness of I don't need to commit because I have everything, that I need right here. Which is, I mean.
It's so true.
Devastating.
If you, Christian, could speak to, yourself when you were in college and knowing what you know now back to yourself, then, what advice would you give, to 19, 20-year-old version, but specifically, if you could go show up in your dorm room and just give some dating advice to yourself as a 19-year-old, what would you say?
That's great. First off, I would tell myself to delete Snapchat. Second off, I would tell myself to put a time limit on social media. Right now I have like a 20-minute time, crunch.
Per day?
Time crunch, but 20 minutes per day.
That's
like
awesome.
A time limit thing on Instagram.
I was going to say, was that per hour? Because that would make me feel better about myself. If you
I know. Trust me too.
Wow.
He's the most disciplined person. Like I set a timer and mine's way longer and I add
approve
5 minutes.
15 minutes, approve 15 minutes, approve 15 minutes.
Ignore.
Yeah, it's approve all day.
I'm like, thank you for the reminder of how long approve all day. But he is very disciplined with that. And I've seen that. But that's because you've seen how it's negatively affected you, back to your advice.
Yeah. But also too, like when I was, because I didn't really get to know Jesus till I got to college, throughout high school and my first 3 or 4 months of college, I was pretty crazy. But I didn't have anyone telling me that, like I knew that the things I was doing wasn't right, but I also didn't have anyone like calling me out on it. So I think finding a few group of people, that's what I tell myself. I'd say, because the friends I was hanging out with did all the same things. So find someone who's going to call you to higher, someone that's going to say, hey, X, Y, Z you're doing is not right. You say that you're a Christian, but yet you go do all those things. And none of those align with the fruit of the Spirit. That's clearly acts the sinful nature. So you either need to be completely in or completely out. There's no 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Wow.
And I think that's what we're seeing now. It's like, like it's that Romans 6, it's what shall we say that should we go on saying so that grace may increase. And it's, I see people all the time. It's just, I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to live my life. And if there's grace, that's awesome, but I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. And I think that translates to dating and all these relationships.
To the person listening, like if you don't have that person, like let the Holy Spirit convict you and let that be enough. Like Christian said, like I knew it wasn't right, and even like he was about to say, I needed someone to come tell me this. But before he even got to that point, he was like, but I knew in my heart it wasn't right. Wow. And so if you're living in sin and it's not right, like allow the conviction of the Holy Spirit to be enough to say, okay, then I'm not going to go on and do this anymore really because God's like protecting my life. The reason why sin is it separates you from God. And the reason why God calls it out is because it's calling you further from him and it's bad for your life. It's bad for, it's not going to lead you down a good path. It's leading you down death and destruction. And so let that awareness wake you up to say, maybe I should stop, like I should delete Snapchat. Maybe I should get off Instagram. And I think, we really do have to take accountability sometimes for ourselves. Like I had to delete the app as well. Snapchat was not good for me. I know some people have it. It's fine for them. I personally don't think it's great for anyone's mind, but that's our story. But whatever that is for you, what's your Snapchat? What's your thing that's like just not beneficial to your life? Then it's on you to get it out.
Yeah. Well, it seems too like it's so easy to do what everyone else is doing. But I think what you're saying, Sadie, is so key. If listening to what the Holy Spirit's telling you, because some people may have a freedom to do certain things, but maybe for you, it is holding you back, and it is keeping you from walking in all that God has for you. And so I think that that's so key, of just being sensitive to what God is speaking to you and following that, and not just looking around and saying, oh, well, all my friends have this, or they can do this, or this, and the relationships and all the kind of stuff, but just being sensitive to God's voice in our lives is so key. It's so good.
Christian, I love that your advice to yourself as a college student involves a quotation from Romans 6, which just to me speaks marvels about you, and obviously what gives you guys strength, what anchors you guys. It's clear you're rooted in God's word. And what has that looked like for you? The journey you mentioned, being a newer Christian at the time of being in college, and what is you guys' relationship with God's word today? How has that helped you specifically with the trials that you faced and are facing?
Yeah. That's good. So when I first, I'll just share testimonial real quick.
Do it.
Yeah, so I was
We'll get the organ out in a minute.
Somebody come in.
The offering's coming after that. Yeah.
So I went to college I was a Christian, but it's gonna be the best 4 years of my life. I'm gonna have fun, kind of thing. This is what everybody told me. So I was in a fraternity. I went in as a dry pledge.
I don't know what does a dry pledge mean? I don't actually know what that means.
So dry pledge means that you're in the fraternity, but you aren't going to be drinking. So there was 5 of us, maybe.
So you were in the fraternity, but not of the fraternity.
Yeah. So basically it's you're still at all the things, but you're not going to be drinking, which I don't really know why, but you're supposed to say whether or not you're going to be a dry pledge or not, whatever.
So they know who the designated driver is?
Yeah,
is that the deal?
Driver,
maybe that's what it was. Probably. But I wasn't able to be the driver because I technically wasn't a dry pledge.
He said he was, but he wasn't.
You weren't committed.
You were a damp pledge.
Yes. Yes.
Occasional dry pledge.
Yes. I was a dry pledge during class. But with that, I knew going into college, my cousin was there the year before me, so I know that I'd been up to visit him, and we had a good church. So I was going to be involved in the church, but I was also going to have my fraternity friends, and I was going to, do the things that I wanted to do. Because I truly hadn't had someone say, you're clearly living in sin, you're not doing right. But I knew that they were I knew that was wrong, but I truly just hadn't felt that. I felt conviction, but I hadn't repented of the things that I had done to truly change. I really hadn't been I really hadn't had my eyes open. So a few months into college, I was at a party and I was on a balcony by myself, just shotgunning beers. It's not funny. It was really sad, but that's what I was doing. And some kid in my fraternity walked out and sat down next to me in this lawn chair, and he just looked at me and said, "I thought you were a dry pledge." And it was the most simplest thing. And I looked at him and I said, no. He said, "I thought you didn't drink," because I said I was dry pledge. And I said, "I don't drink." And then I walked back to my dorm from that party, and then I repented, and then haven't drank since then. That was 6 years ago. Wow. Something like that. And then after that, me and my cousin started a Bible study. And then we grew that. We started in our friend's apartment, and that grew to, we had to rent out the library because it got to be so big. And that was really the trajectory. So all the friends that I was kind of hanging out with when I first got to college, kind of moved away from them, really got plugged in with the community group at our church, started serving, then started leading in some things. That's really kind of the progression of my faith. But it really started with someone calling me, looking at me and saying, I thought you didn't do that.
Wow.
And then really the Lord opening my eyes to realize that that's not the life that I want to live these 4 years. I don't want to waste this. So.
Gosh, how amazing is that?
Very crazy.
Even how you said that you didn't have someone like a mentor or anyone in your life who was directly saying, "Hey, this is wrong," but just how simple God used that one person to just say those few words, and how that just changed the trajectory of your life. Like that, I love how God moves and how God works in such simple and non-assuming, you probably, if you weren't listening for it, you probably could have missed it, but you were almost ready, or you were ready for it. But that's so beautiful. Thanks for sharing
I think
that.
part of his story that just, I think, resonates. And I think this is what I hope people hear out of that is, if you know Christian is like the most real person ever. Like, you are going to always know what he's thinking, but he's always kind. If someone upset him, that person would know because he would share it with them, but it would be out of like honor and out of like integrity for the moment. Like, he's just very real. And that's something that I love about him. And I think he was living such a fake life at the time. Like, honestly, you're like, I'm a dry pledge, even though you weren't, because you wanted to look a certain way. Like, I'm a Christian, I go to church, even though like I also want to be in my fraternity. And like, he was living kind of this fake life, which is so untrue about the character of who he is, that when someone like actually called him out for being fake, not even realizing that they were doing it, he was like, I'm done with this. Like, I'm done living this like double life. I'm going to live for Jesus because that's what I truly want. And I think most people are like that, you know. I think most people who have a desire for the Lord, they might have a desire for the Lord, but they're still choosing to, you know, live that fake life because they like the way that it gets them into certain rooms, or they like the social status it gives them, or they like the following it gives them. And primarily, I feel like this message really plays out in college. I feel like if that's you, like, call yourself out if no one else does. And that's what I mean. Like, if you're sitting here, like, consider yourself called out listening to this. Like, you're being called out if you are living a double life and you're living that fake life, and actually just start to pursue Jesus. And what that might look like is, it's going to first look like repentance and confessing. Then it's going to look like, you know, plugging yourself into a church, getting good people around you who are going to walk out this new life that you called to, and not going back. For Christian, it was choosing not to drink anymore because he knew it wasn't good for his life. And so just like wake up and take your life seriously. I think we have this like fear of what our generation is going to become. And it's like, yeah, that is scary, but don't let it become that. Like, that's on us to change that. And so I just hope people start waking up. And I love his story because he just got woken up. Like, someone just turned the lights on, calling him out. Yeah.
It's powerful on every level, on the level of what your experience and what even this podcast listening could be, like that you could be doing that for someone right now who's waking up, even if it's not the same circumstances. The Holy Spirit, I believe, wants to use that to just cause someone to have the lights come on, but then also for the person who did that, and all of us who maybe we have someone in our lives that we never know what a small little, because he didn't have to say that to you, but he chose to, and just how that can be used. It's pretty cool. And I mean, it's so clear to me watching you two. You know, we went to your wedding, and I think it might be the most beautiful wedding we've ever seen.
Well,
so
thank you.
Honestly, your wedding was,
sweet.
I mean, you two are Ken and Barbie, which helps. But the whole thing, the tennis court you were on, how it transformed, and the Uncle Si in a sparkly tuxedo, all the things.
Epic.
Epic.
It was pretty epic.
Carlton dancing around, and I mean, just all the things.
I knew he was going to get on stage. He cannot help himself. That was so fun.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite moments.
That was one of my favorite moments. I was like, what is happening?
A lot of things. And then, what's her name from Full House was there. It was like, what's her first name?
It was crazy.
Candace.
Cameron. Yeah, Burt Cameron. What was she on the show, though?
Hooray.
What was she on Full House?
DJ Tanner.
DJ Tanner. Yes, you got Carlton and DJ Tanner. It's like a bad joke. Like, so they walk into the bar.
I know.
But what I was going with was, as beautiful as the wedding was, you guys have very clearly a marriage of substance. And I think that when people are focusing in on their wedding one day, they tend to think about the wedding and, you know, tend to forget about the marriage. Because here you two stand, you've endured the beginnings of Life for Honey. And obviously those who follow you online have seen that was quite the journey with your struggle with RSV and all that, which you can speak to in a moment. But I would just venture a guess that it wasn't how pretty your wedding was that has given you strength in these hard days, the pandemic and all that. It's been that you guys, this marriage is built on the rock.
Yeah, that's so good. Thank you. Yeah, it's so cool that you said that. That's always my prayer. Whenever a couple gets engaged that we're friends with, I always pray, like, God, would they not make this season about the wedding, but about their marriage? Because again, like, you know, how you start is so important, and you have such an opportunity to build such a great foundation for your future when you're engaged. And so, yes, you think about the details, and yes, you think about the little things, but like, would that not overshadow the big things, like the things in your relationship that you need to work on, that you need to get security in, that you need to, be refined in before you step into marriage. And you're going to continue to be refined. You're going to continue to pour in, but it's just a great start. And I do think Christian is extremely intentional. And I think we both really try to be with our words. We're super careful with like the words that we choose to say and like how we build each other up, and words that we even say whenever we're arguing, and how, because we know words really matter. And I think even with our vows, like for our wedding day, we both worked so hard on like what we wanted to say to each other. And when I think about our wedding, like I think about our vows, like the words that we were able to exchange. And so that just shows like it really wasn't about, the ceremony, as beautiful as it was and as exciting as it was and how fun it was to see everyone. I'll never forget. I told Christian, I was like, I'm really glad we did our first look, because when we walked down the aisle, I was so excited to see all my friends. I was like, hey. I didn't even look at you.
She wasn't even looking at me.
I didn't even look at you. I remember looking to the left and seeing Don Cherie, and I was like, hi. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was so excited. But thank God, the wedding was for that too. It was for the people and saying hey to everyone and celebrating, life. But then we had these really intentional moments, and it did set us up great for marriage. Now we have honey, and it's just the best thing ever. And it's also so challenging. And we've learned, how to be even better partners through that, and even friends through that. And so definitely pushed us. And she had RSV recently, but God taught us so much even through her delivery, because we had a really scary delivery, and honestly just could have gone so wrong for both Honey and I, and really could have and should have gone really wrong for both of us, but it didn't. And we just got to, I have to remember that I can't focus on the coulds and the shoulds and what if, but just focus on the fact that God did what only God can do. And I just have to trust him in that. And I think with him kind of establishing from the beginning that she is his and she's not ours, she's his first, it has really helped us in the seasons of the recent RSV and the times where it's crazy. It's okay, this is hard, but she's yours first, God, and we trust you with her. And so it's been a new season with new challenges, but we do have a firm foundation, I think, that we're going off of from our beginnings of marriage and whatnot.
Yeah. Gosh.
Christian, how did your respect and appreciation for Sadie shift and change as you watched her go through pregnancy? I mean, that is a lot.
No joke.
Oh yeah. Well, so when she first got pregnant, was it the first 17 weeks maybe? So she had really bad
until 20.
Morning sickness. Is that what they call it?
So she threw up every day for 17 weeks.
Oh,
yeah, that
Sadie,
was really bad.
that's horrible.
So
I know, that was during Passion too.
And you're just eating waffles I'm so sorry about that. That is just the worst.
Funny story about waffles. We'll get there in a second. When I was the thing.
Oh, just keep talking.
No, I was, but I was saying, I'm just saying. No, so that initial get-go, I just gained so much respect. So I was like, that is, I hate throwing up. It's a very bad feeling.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the fact that you did that for 17 weeks, I was like, that is awesome. You're a trooper.
Not awesome, but
And
thank
then
you. That's really
the
sweet.
labor, I was like, you're a rock star. That was just crazy. I would never want to go through that. And you did such a good job. You were so strong and awesome.
Thank you. You were very affirming.
You were a great you were a really fun pregnant person.
Thank you. I did have fun. It was special.
She had this laugh that was
I missed my pregnant
cackle.
laugh. Did you laugh like that when you were pregnant?
I don't know. I don't remember.
A cackle
You
came
would
out?
know if you
Is this
had
Gina
a
Claire's
pregnant
influence on your life?
It was, right? It was so funny because in reality, in normal life, I have a silent laugh. So when I laugh, it's just normally silent.
You just say, that's good. Yeah, and smile really big.
Yeah, that's good. And I smile. But I actually think it's funny, but I just silent laugh. When I was pregnant, my laugh was so loud.
Can you impersonate it, Christian? Can you do it? Her pregnant laugh?
No,
much force, but I think it was because when you're laying down, you have a funny laugh. I think it was just the pressure of just having
she was
being
pressing
stuffed
on your diaphragm.
Yeah, she was pressing on my diaphragm, and it made my laugh so funny.
Can you do it? Can you do the pregnant laugh?
I literally can't. I mean, I really don't even know how. Because it was natural. It wasn't I was trying.
Everybody
to laugh,
heard it,
but everyone heard it. It was
you're at a restaurant.
it was so loud, and then I would laugh because of how funny my laugh was. And I was like, this is not even my laugh. We'll have to find a video or something and post it because it was really funny. But yeah, pregnancy was definitely really challenging. But honestly, like, I think, you know, some things in life are very challenging and you don't know when the end of them is going to be. And so that makes it even harder. Yeah. But pregnancy is like, you got 10 months, you know, like 10 months. There will be an end, you know, the baby is going to come out. And so I tried to just like keep that in mind that this truly is seasonal and, you know, there's a blessing at the end of it. And I think in life, sometimes we can do that. You know, we can look at things and say, this is seasonal, this too shall pass and there will be a blessing at the end. And then there are some things in life that feel long-term, but even those things are, you know, normally for a season. And, you know, God is within all of them, even through the challenges. So I think pregnancy really taught me a lot about life in general and God's love for us and just timing and everything.
Man. So good.
What changed you the most having this baby? You know, what, as you guys are looking at yourselves now, it's like, okay, now we're parents. Obviously you were already kind of getting used to married life and then, you know, hello, has a baby.
That's great.
Well, I was telling someone the other day, it was like, engagement is more refining than dating. Marriage is more refining than engagement. Having a child is more refining than being married.
Hello.
So it's like a gradual process thing. But for us, like we've gotten so much closer.
So much closer.
We've gotten like so much better friends.
You have perfected your dance moves, I will say. Well, you obviously already had them, but watching Christian Christian dance on the Instagram has been, with my 20 minutes every hour, most of my fulfilling moments in the last year.
It's funny. So the first one,
he might be off the beat, but he's shaking.
The first one, it was like a Sunday afternoon, and I was just watching TV, and she said, "I want to do 2 things today." And I said,
it was right when we got back from the hospital.
Yes, we got back from the hospital. I said, what? She said, I want to make a dancing video and I want to bake cookies. And I said, well, I will do one of those 2. And the other one, there's no way I'm doing it. And I wanted to bake cookies. I didn't want to do the dance video. So she begged me to do the dancing video. I caved in.
Well, I told you, I said, I promise I will not post it. I promise.
She promised she wouldn't post it.
Oh.
But I didn't.
But after I saw what I was capable of.
And then.
You're like, the internet needs to see
I gave her permission.
He watched the video and he goes, Sadie, like, you can definitely post it.
Sadie, like, I'm not going to lie. This looks good.
Now that I see myself for what it is, you can for sure post it.
And that's no experience.
Which now it's like a thing.
Well,
now we did it this Sunday afternoon because people loved it. Like, honestly, I just like thought this is so silly.
While Honey is asleep, which is few and far between.
I saw that you captioned it that way. It's like, Honey's asleep. Mom and Dad are dancing in the doorway.
When baby sleeps.
And honestly, I just did it because like we had been in the hospital, everything had been sat, and I was like, look, we're just dancing it out. Let's just dance it out and post it. And it got like 4 million views, and we were like, this is hilarious.
This is a thing.
Like, people like this.
Well, it's funny because Sadie is so good and so on the beat. And I'm like so decent and not on the beat.
So decent.
I'm giving myself some credit.
I can relate. I can relate, bro. My wife can dance. I have no skills, and I don't have Christian skills. That's for dang sure.
But it makes it even funnier because you can almost see like what it's supposed to look like, and then like what
it's the Pinterest fail.
Christian spin,
what the normal.
It's pretty funny, but and back to your question, which we've gotten a little away from. What have we grown in? I think we both have grown tremendously in our confidence, which is so silly because that's not something I really thought would come through having a child. Like no one said like, you're about to be so confident. Mm-hmm. But something about it, I think it's because that's what I want her to be. Like, I want her to live so fully and be so confident in who she is. And like, just the silly things that make her laugh, that it's like challenge us to do the same. And I remember whenever I had Honey, and of course you don't lose your baby weight at first. Like you look pretty much when you leave the hospital, you look almost the way you did when you came in, except for it jiggles.
Yes.
And I remember though, I felt so awesome that I looked at Christian. I was like, look at how awesome
you took a
I
picture.
look. I took a picture of myself in the mirror. Okay. And I went out and took a shot. I said, look at how awesome I look. And y'all, like, I did not, like, worldly speaking, I looked terrible. But, like, and looking back at the picture, it's actually really funny. It's kind of like that movie, I Feel Pretty, when the girl, like, falls and hits her head. And, like, nothing about her changed, but her perspective changed. And she was like, I feel amazing. And I think it was because for the first time, like, it truly was not about what I looked like, but it was about what, like,
What you're
power
capable
of like I was capable of doing it. Like God literally gave us in our bodies to do. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I just did that. And so, and I'm like, and I remember writing it down that day. Delusional from the hospital and telling Christian, I never want to forget this. I never want to lose this perspective. And, you know, even now it's like, let's just do a dance video because it's silly and because it's fun because we can't, you know, and that's just helped us a lot. And so for people out there, like, you don't have to wait till you have a baby, especially for a guy, you won't have a baby. So go ahead and just decide to be confident, not because you're awesome, but because God made something awesome and God made something to be confident in. And that's just been a really fun lesson to be learned through this.
Girl, that is so encouraging and inspiring. And I mean, I've had 5 babies and I don't know if I've ever like said, wow, I look so awesome after I've had a baby. That's really, but that's so amazing. And I think that even speaks to how you've grown up. Like, I mean, I read your mom's book, Strong and Kind, and just their intentionality with raising you kids, and you can just tell, like, I even, as I see our kids, them growing up and the confidence they have, so many times I'm like, I still don't have that kind of confidence, I feel like, but I just, I love that, that God's showing that to you and that you're, that's just something that you can inspire and challenge other people to walk in is so good.
It's cool. Yeah. My mom has always been really good at making sure like our confidence didn't lie within herself, but really was about God. I remember just a funny story about a friend of hers, like a friend of ours, like us and this girl's kids are like the same age. And so she used to pray for her kids that they would be able to sing really well. And all of her kids like sing really well. And all of us, like we had like pretty much no musical ability. And so I remember one day I was like, Mom, like their mom prayed that they would sing good and they could sing good. I was like, why didn't you pray for us to sing good? And my mom looked at me, she's like, because I prayed for your character. And I was like, oh, I was like, oh, ouch, ouch. But it was like so good. Yeah. It's such a good reminder of like, because that's like, yeah, that's great that they can do that, but that's not what's important in life. And even for like those people and for us, like the most important thing is that we have good character. And so, it doesn't actually matter if you look awesome or if you sing amazing or if you are like killing it at the sport that you play. It's like your character is what matters, and that's what separates you from the crowd. And so it was a really good, what my sister would call a chapping that my mom gave me.
A chapping.
That's
really good. What's been outside of the scare with the health, and obviously you mentioned that, which is a different category, but what's been your biggest oh crap moment, you know, where you just feel like, I remember with our first kid and even now with our 5th, it was like there's a lot to like, there's no playbook for this. I mean, obviously we have good advice and people to call, but like, oh crap.
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you my oh crap moment. So Christian was in Nashville. And it was his first time to leave since, like, I had Honey. So it was just, like, me and her. But I invited Bella to come over because I was like, hey, like, Christian's going to need some help. So this is so bad. So me and Bella and Honey were, like, out. And we got home. And I walk in. And my dog, who's normally, like, very excited to see me, I could tell she was kind of running away from me. Like, what did you do wrong? Oh, and she had something in her mouth. And I was like, what is that? And I got closer and she dropped it. And it was a dirty wet wipe. And I'm like, okay, all right. Where would she have gotten a dirty wet wipe? So I keep walking and there's another dirty wet wipe. And then I see an open diaper, dirty diaper that she had gotten out of the trash can. And to what you can imagine, destroyed it. Ugh. And I turn around and my little white dog has poop, Honey's poop all over her face. And now she's chasing me and Bella trying to lick us. I'm holding Honey. We're screaming. We're running around the house screaming, trying to like get the dog away from us. We run in the room, kick the dog out, lock the door, and we're like, oh crap. Like, literally
it's everywhere.
Like, what do we do? I thought my dog was like gonna die because she like ate poop. Christian's not there. I'm like hoping Christian like clicks on the monitor because we have a monitor that like records everything. And I'm like, if he sees what's happening right now, this is gonna be hilarious. God. So we throw Bella, like, takes Honey. I throw the dog in the bathtub. I just like hose her whole face off. I luckily at one point, whenever we first got her, thought I would brush her teeth, which I never did. But I had dog toothpaste. So I was like shoving it in her mouth. It was just crazy. And I was like, this is like a scene from Cheaper by the Dozens. Like, I'm living out the scenes. That's just a silly one. But we've had other moments where we're like, oh crap. And I think probably the biggest is like Honey had colic, at the beginning and just would cry for hours.
Oh my God.
Like something's very wrong.
That's so real.
Yes.
That's so
But
hard.
there was nothing wrong is the problem.
Yeah.
We fed her, checked, we changed her diaper, she's taken a nap, just
You want to reason with a baby,
crying.
don't you know you should be fine?
I know.
By the book,
we're
everything's
happy.
okay.
Yes.
Well,
I know.
we would hear husbands be like, "Oh man, when she cries, I just would feel so bad for her." And I was like, "Yeah, I do too for the first hour, and then after hour 3 or 4,
feel bad for
I
me.
feel bad for myself.
after
Yeah.
3 or 4, I'm like, okay, the people who are telling us this, y'all don't have this problem, so chill."
He's like, y'all never have experienced
You just
3
realize how
hours.
foolish it is. The couples that are in, having marriage problems are thinking, "Oh, a baby will help this. Our marriage will be much better if we have a
Lord.
baby."
For sure.
Wow.
Yeah, if you're thinking that right now, don't think that. But it has certainly made us stronger. We've just seen sides of each other that we never had seen, and it's been honestly the best. It's been the best thing for our marriage and for us as parents to Honey even, just to even grow more than we even knew how to. And I don't think people, whenever they're engaged, that's what marriage is like. And you can't even explain it. You just have to experience it. And there are so many things about having a baby where it's I can't even explain it to you. You just have to experience, because it will probably be harder than you thought it would be.
Yeah.
And it would be more challenging than you thought it was. And even pregnancy was way harder than I thought it was going to be. However, the things that it teaches you and the ways that you grow and the love that you have that you never thought you could have make it the best thing ever. And so, yes, it's hard. Yes, it's challenging. Yes, pregnancy and throwing up every day was totally not fun. But who I am now because of it, it's amazing. And I'm so grateful.
That's so good.
And that is some hard-earned wisdom that you can only get by going through it.
Yeah.
And I never knew I was so selfish till I got married. Never knew I was so impatient till I had kids. And you realize, I have a temper problem. I didn't realize that I have a really bad temper problem. These kids are, and as the older they get, you just get more and more frustrated. And then you give God those things that once exposed, can be hopefully dealt with.
Yeah.
Yeah, patience. For
Yeah,
me.
you definitely have learned the art of patience.
Yes.
Yep. I used to think I wasn't a very emotional person. That's funny now, because now I have come to tap in with my emotions.
Well, and you were really vulnerable with the postpartum journey and just figuring all that out. That's the thing. You just, and then I think, Christian,
Totally.
from your perspective too, when you're watching your spouse go through something and you really, obviously you can pray for them, be there for them, but you can't and walk through that with them. That's like the 17 weeks of vomiting. It's a tough place to be in that role where you're trying to serve, but you don't always know exactly what the thing that can help is.
Yeah. I think that's the thing and part of my want to be honest is that people just constantly comment on my life and say oh, you don't understand, you didn't go through this, or must be nice to have ... And I'm the reason I don't come on Instagram every day and say I just puked and I feel horrible is because that doesn't help anyone. In my opinion, not everyone needs to know that. I don't need to tell everyone that I threw up every day. I don't need to tell everyone that the extent of how bad our labor was and the things that happened, just for someone else to feel better about their journey. I can be honest and relatable, and I can talk to you about how good God is in the midst of it and how he can be your strength, and that, he can truly pull you up when you feel weak. And I can teach you all of those things and help you through all those things. But I don't think we have to focus so much on the negative just because we're afraid of sharing the positive. I think Instagram, we're trying to do this big push for vulnerability, and I'm all about vulnerability, but also let's learn, Kristen Kane says, what about not just being vulnerable, but also being people with integrity and becoming better. And I think that that's such a good point. And so, after I had Honey, I just saw pretty long road of recovery ahead of me, but my sister was getting married 3 weeks after I had her, and I was the maid of honor. And so yes, I got out of the house and I put on the dress and I walked down the aisle and stood beside her. And did I feel good? No, I felt horrible. But people will say, "Oh, it must be nice. You must not have experienced this." And I experienced all those things and more. But at the same time, I needed to be there for my sister. And so I think you can speculate. You can think, I wonder what she had. I wonder she didn't have what I had. But at the end of the day, like, just like we can't compare the good things to each other, we can't compare the bad either.
Yeah.
Like, just live your story, and whatever God's given you, it's your responsibility to take it and do the best you can with it. And so, yeah, it was quite the journey, and I do feel called to share parts of it, but not all of it. And I think that's okay.
Definitely.
Well, wisdom holds back too. Like Ecclesiastes says, there's a time to speak, time to be silent, and you have to hear the Holy Spirit in that. Sadie, you just released your 6th book. I'm holding it in my hands here. That is
Crazy.
a huge feat. This is Live on Purpose. What are you looking at? You're clearly looking at something up in the...
Just smiling at the birds.
I like
I
it.
climbed a tree.
Is that right? Christian took his shirt off and climbed a tree, and she was...
I did.
We have got to do like a Photoshop version of you in a tree
That'd
with
be
us.
funny.
Seriously?
Yes.
I dare anybody listening with Photoshop skills
Someone
to take...
to make that.
If someone, those of you who are on Spotify and Apple Music are very confused right now, go on Amazon and click Live on Purpose so you can see the photo like those on YouTube and Access More Video can see. But yeah, you're looking up at the clouds. Obviously, I'm joking, but this is a beautiful cover. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited about it. I am pumped.
Talk about it.
So Live on Purpose is kind of a combination of my last 2 books, Live and Live Fearless. And so basically it's taking the concepts of the two and making it into short devotionals for 100 days, which I'm excited about because I was just talking to someone the other day about reading my Bible. And I was like, man, it's just been so hard since I've had Honey, because when I'm at work, I'm like fully at work. And yes, my work is ministry. So I get to talk about Jesus all day, but I still need to have personal time with him. But then when I'm home, I'm like fully with my baby, and I want to focus on that and focus on, being a wife to Christian, and we like to cook and like do different things. And so it has been kind of hard to find just that intentional time, which I was always wanting to be like, just make time. And yes, like make time, but it's just been different. It's been new. And so I've been like, I picked up Priscilla Shire's Devo book the other day and was like reading through like Awaken. And I was like, man, I'm so glad I'm getting to put out a book that people are going to do what I'm doing right now with Priscilla.
Yeah.
And so I hope that like if people are struggling like daily to get in the word, this would just be like a starting point. This would be the thing that like kicks their day off, right? Or even, ends their day off in a good space and a good headspace. And it's just literally what the book says. It is 100 devotionals of letting go of fear and following God. How do we actually live on purpose? Because living is a verb. It's an action. We got to choose to live, and especially live on purpose. In today's world, there's this new phrase, and I actually wrote more about this in my next book that's coming out in February, but it's called purpose anxiety. And it's like actually a thing if you look it up. And it's just the best way to put what our generation's struggling with right now is that we are just so focused on like what our purpose is and if we have a purpose and where our purpose is going to be and meet us and all that stuff, that we get so anxious that, and actually getting so anxious, then we don't do what we're called to do because we're too afraid to do it.
Wow.
Or we miss it because oftentimes the big thing is wrapped up in small little things, right?
And yes, and that's what I'm trying to share with people is like your purpose is not in the position, it's not in the platform, it's on the journey. It's every day. It's loving God and loving people, and just simplifying the idea of what your purpose is, because your purpose is obviously big, right? It's obviously this big thing that God has for us, but it really wrapped up is just love God, love people, do it well, and do it in everything that you are walking into.
Wow.
And so
I can't wait for that. That's really
excited.
good. Well, you think about even Joseph, his big thing was being in prison, and he could have thought, where's my big purpose? And he was like, it was right around him. He just didn't know what it was.
You're here. Yeah. We talk about so many different people in the Bible, Moses, Joseph, different people who it's like their purpose. Yes, God called them, but like they had to choose to go, or they had to choose to see, or to be intentional in those moments. Gideon, we talk about, I go through different types of people, and at the beginning, and it's like the look backers, and it's like the people who are like looking back at the past, always like, I can't do my purpose because of what I used to do, or the people. There's all different kinds of ones, and then eventually there's ones like the move maker, like the one that actually just like takes what God says and does it. And that's like Ananias, who like God said, go pray over Saul. And he's like, okay, I'm kind of scared, but I'm going to, God, because this is what you said to do. And like he doesn't get enough credit in the Bible, in my opinion. Like people don't talk about him enough.
There's no
like
Paul without
he made
Ananias.
it happen.
Yeah.
He made it happen. And so just really highlighting people in the word and how they did it and how we can too. So I'm excited.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. I'm excited for that.
It's got a bookmark, by the way, built in. I love devotionals with built-in ribbons. That is awesome.
Gotta love the built-in ribbon.
Yes. What age group were you thinking this for?
Yes. So I will say, like, typically everything I do is like I write for the college student because I always feel like writing to the college student, the younger people will read up and the older people will always relate to their college self.
Yeah.
It's just such a pivotal time in our life.
Yeah.
This book, I will say, I think it can go younger. I think it could go and older. It could go really for anyone. But if you were a 15-year-old girl or you're a mom to a 15-year-old, 13, 14.
You know, we are parents to a 15-year-old girl. So we are very excited to get this into Olivia's hands. Yeah.
I think this would be a great one for them. But if you're in college, I think this would meet you right where you're at.
Yeah.
So I think really obviously for the college student, but if you're younger, I think parents would enjoy this for younger kids. Some of my books, my next book is a little bit older. I wouldn't probably recommend it for a super young person, but this one I definitely would.
Yeah, because I was thinking of this for our daughter Daisy is 11, and I was thinking because she has this little kids devotional. Obviously, we have Roar Like a Lion, but she has this other little kids devotional. But I feel like this could be good for her too.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's more of like my story stuff. It's not just like concepts and ideas. It's like whenever I was going through this is what I felt, but this is who God was. And then obviously taking many people from the Bible, but including my own story. So I think it's going to be relatable. And a lot of my story that I'm telling you this is when I was 17, 18, 19, years old. And so that's why I think it's going to really relate to that.
And I noticed there's prayers and scriptures at the beginning of every day, so people can obviously take that text and do a deeper dive on it.
Yeah.
Yes,
tell us about the devotional. I noticed there's one called Slap Fear in the Face, asking for a friend. What is that one all about?
Slap fear in the face. Well, that's so funny. You're putting me on the spot. I'll have to literally like go back and read and figure out exactly what I was talking about. Because I write, okay, you have to understand, when I wrote this devotional book, it was March. I then went on to write a completely other book, Who Are You Following? And then had Honey. So
It's number 48, Christian.
48.
Well, and there's 100.
Hey, I was just teasing. You don't have to. People can read it if they want to read it.
It's a good one to point to.
I just like
Slap fear. Oh, whenever I jumped out of an airplane. Oh, I know exactly.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, I just had to get a recap, which is so funny because whenever I spoke at Fresh Life, this is what I spoke on.
That's right.
This is the message.
You showed that video
Look
of
at
yourself
you.
jumping out of the airplane.
Yes. And that was what this devotional was about. And it was so funny because I was kind of at this point where I was like wanting to do everything to like, just scream that I'm fearless because I had battled with fear for so long that I was like, I'm just going to go and overcome all my fears. And most of my fears were actually more like internal fears, like talk to the person or in the relationship or, go start the thing or whatever. But this one was just silly. I was like, I kind of think skydiving would be awesome and I'm kind of scared of it. So I ended up doing it. And it was really cool because like that day whenever we like went up on the plane, the people there, and I wrote about this, like the people on the plane were kind of like taunting us like, okay, so if the parachute doesn't open, then you die. And just like being stupid.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Like,
Appreciate that.
And then we were like, my mom asked this question, was like, do I need a helmet? And they're like, no, why would a helmet help you?
Oh
like,
my gosh.
So they were just kind of like saying stuff to make you really afraid as we were going up. And I just thought like that is exactly how fear is. Like fear taunts you. Fear like makes you feel like you could never do what you feel like what you feel called to do or what you want to do. Like fear will, make those jokes or say something at the last second right before you make the post, or right before you go apply for the job. And, it's up to us to slap fear in the face and like with the word of God and say like, I have faith in God and it's bigger than this fear and do it. My mom always says, if you fear anything other than God, then you're giving it too much power. Oof. And I think that's like such a good quote and something I've really held on to. That's like nothing should be feared more than God because all things have to bow in the face of Him. And so that is what slap fear in the face is about. I'm sorry that took me a minute to come
I like it.
to think of that.
And that's like the 5th Corey Robertson zinger today, by the way. She's just
thank you, Corey.
dropping the mic and then picking it back up and tossing it around the room. Christian,
I know,
when's the Christian Huff book coming out?
When I write it.
Well,
good answer.
You could tell them your newest thing.
That is true.
But you don't have to.
I am starting a podcast soon, hoping to develop it to like a men's ministry kind of thing.
That's awesome.
Super cool. Well, hey, that's
really cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have a name or is that still
You
TBD?
might be getting a call, Levi.
Yes, you're on my list.
Sign me up, bro.
So it's actually called 4-8 Men, and it's based off of the verse 1 Timothy 4:8. So it's like a fitness faith podcast.
Oh, there we go.
Ooh, that's amazing.
The verse says, for while bodily training is of some value, godliness is of value in every way.
I think of that verse
So
every day when I don't work out and I choose to read my Bible
She thinks
instead.
about the second half of it, not the first half.
so funny.
Some
Sorry, I cut
value.
you off.
Some value.
No.
This is of every value.
So the hope of the podcast is to shed light on how the second half of that verse is far more important than the first.
Sure.
So talk about, it's more like the first half hopes to be more lighthearted, physical training. What do you do for your workout? Just kind of like take us through that. And then the second half leads into what's your spiritual training and talk about how that's more important than training for our physical bodies.
I love that.
Awesome.
What's that idea of like, and it's what I'm passionate about, because if you look at when Jesus met Peter fishing, he met Peter at what Peter thought his mission was, and then Jesus gave him the ultimate mission. And I'm passionate about athletics and fitness and that kind of stuff. So if I want to reach that audience, then I think people if they find their mission in that, then you meet them in fitness, then you give them the gospel.
That's
Purpose,
so
yeah.
cool. That's great,
Christian,
Christian.
like,
Love that.
loves working out, but he does not like when people like make a big deal about it or like talk about it, because he's like, this is just what I do because I love it, and this is part of what I do because I feel close to God when I'm doing it, and I feel like I can just be the best, husband I can be and the dad I can be, and like it just means a lot more to him. And so when he read that verse, which he's known it before, but recently he was like, man, I could really do something with this. It's cool.
I love that.
Thank you.
That's really cool.
Makes Jenny feel less bad about the unused Peloton in our gym, just sitting there.
Well, listen, you're the one that inspired me to go to a spin class before I ever went to a spin class. And whenever I was with you, I was like, dang, these people are active, because y'all had like so many activities. And now I'm really glad for that, because I married someone who loves to work out. So
You caught a fly fish. Yeah, you caught a fish fly fishing.
I did
Has
last second.
Been any more of that? Have you guys done any fishing?
We have not done fly fishing, but we need to go. We
went fishing before you got pregnant. Remember you caught that big bass?
Why can I not remember any?
The big bass.
I'm gonna pull
Pregnancy
it.
break.
Yes,
but
that's
we
real.
did.
No. It was the
Pregnancy
brim. You
brim.
caught the brim.
Oh yeah. We've
You know what I'm
gone
talking
fishing like around, but whenever we were in Jackson Hole, a lot of like our family went fishing, but there wasn't enough for all of us. Did you go fly
I went
fishing?
fly- yeah, me and
you
John
went.
went
I
fly
didn't
Did you
go.
love it,
Yeah.
Christian?
I loved it. It was so fun.
I didn't go because I
Yes.
was like, I've already been. So I
Already
couldn't
did
really
it.
Our guide definitely made, like, he was hilarious. He made the tour.
The
fun.
guide can make or break it.
Yeah,
you get a
that's
salty guide
true.
who's mad at you the whole time. You're like,
Levi
dude,
had a
I had a
salty
really
guy.
bad guide early on, and he was amazing. Got us into tons of fish, but he took it so seriously that if I did anything wrong, which at that time I did not know how to do it, he would just jump all over me, and I'm like, bro. You're here to help me figure this crap
Also,
out.
you're
have
paying
issues.
him.
I don't need to feel this bad
Bro.
on time where I'm spending money on it. I love that. We'll have to get you guys back and do that together. It would be a lot of fun. And
We'd love it.
We'd love that.
Christian, what is your favorite thing to have on in your AirPods in the gym? Are you listening to Metallica, or do you got a sermon on, or you got a documentary?
That's funny. So I'm either only listening to a sermon or worship, which is if I listen to anything secular, then it puts me in a bad spot.
But this is actually really funny. So that is true. He only listens to sermons and worship. But the other day we were watching the U.S. Open, and it was like the Djokovic versus
Medvedev.
I don't know if y'all
Yes.
watch it.
Oh, heck. We're tennis people.
We love
guys play?
tennis. We love.
That's a
we
big
play
tennis
all the
family.
time.
We need to play tennis together too.
Oh, we would love that. We love playing. So like for real, anytime, maybe at Passion, bring your racket.
Or that thing with the people at the place.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
let's do it at
We'll
the thing
bring
with the
some
people.
rackets.
Yeah, okay.
For sure, actually,
Yeah,
yes.
we're bringing our rackets for sure. But anyways, like we love tennis, but the commercial was like so cool. And there's a sign. It was like, oh, I was born for greatness. And so
was
that
hype.
week, Christian asked me if I could go to the gym because he wanted to show me something he had been working on. And he was like,
I was
okay, hold on.
I was going for a heavy max, and
Yeah.
I needed like something other than like.
Yeah. He was like, hold on, I gotta go
Waymaker.
press play. And I'll look at it and it's that song. It's like, oh, I was born for greatness. And I started dying
it got me
laughing.
in
I
the
was
zone.
like, you got this from the Djokovic commercial.
That is amazing.
It was sad though.
That was great.
All throughout the U.S. Open, all that, the Serena Williams and the Wonder Woman costume, they kept playing that, thinking she was going to be all the way to the end, and they didn't know the teenage girls were coming in hot. And
I know, man. And then like Djokovic, we had followed that all year long, thinking he was going to win the Grand Slam.
looking for
There's
21. one.
A couple upsets, but the young girls, that was actually really cool.
What a great!
amazing to
all my
watch.
girls,
That
all
was
our girls are
awesome.
in tennis lessons. So watching them, getting to see that 18-year-old unseeded girl, 19-year-old, these girls just crushing
Yeah.
it.
So cool.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
know.
they were
We
awesome.
like last night we went and hit and we brought Honey's bouncy seat and just put it on the side court. We're just like playing. We love it. So she'll grow up watching it and hopefully playing too.
You guys, two-handed backhand, one-handed backhand.
I'm two-handed.
I'm a one-handed
slicer.
No, but it's not a correct back. Your dad always gives me a hard time. So I don't. It's not a backhand. It's like a reverse. Like
Christian taught him
Like like a ping pong hit almost.
Yes,
It is a
it's-
ping
it's-
pong hit.
It's definitely
Yeah.
a ping pong.
Christian taught himself, and he's better than all of us, and it's really annoying because we all
Wow.
play.
So no one can take you down.
So you can do whatever
I
you want
can
with
in
that.
Singles.
That's so
I'm-
funny.
I'm a very good doubles player.
I can beat him in singles, but we can't beat him in doubles.
Nobody's beaten me in doubles.
So I grew up playing tennis. Jenny wanted to be able to do it together. So she's been the last 2 years in lessons, and she's improving
Oh, that's awesome.
rapidly.
Wow.
But one of the
Very
first doubles, one of
slowly.
the first doubles matches we ever did was with Tim and Demi Tebow. And so for Jenny to be up at the net against Tim,
Terrifying.
you know, I don't know if you played him.
Oh,
When he comes
that
at the
is
net, it's a
terrifying.
scary, scary thing.
He yells.
He
He
can't turn that
yells so
intensity
loud.
down. You know.
We have not played them, so we should play them. I feel
Yeah,
like you
you
and Tim at the
should.
net would be like,
Oh, that would
a
be.
lot happening.
Someone might blow up. Someone might just explode.
I would be like slightly
Well,
terrified.
playing with her dad is the funniest person. You
Oh,
could
okay.
ever
My
play
dad, he
Is he
gets
talking
so
trash the whole
mad.
time?
He gets so mad, and he talks trash. Which I mean, I hate to like expose him on here, but like he doesn't have anger issues in any other area of his life. But when we play tennis, like he will like chunk the racket like over the
The
fence,
mental
like,
battle of tennis,
kick
it can bring out the
it,
rage
trash
like
it.
nothing else. So Willie Robertson
Oh.
tossing the racket over the
That's
fence.
hilarious.
Oh, I've seen him get his racket stuck in trees before. He just chunks them in the
Maybe
tree.
that's what you were
It's-
looking
Yeah.
for. Your dad's
Oh,
tennis
yeah, I
racket.
know,
You were looking for the
right?
racket.
Yeah, right. It's so funny.
Or
'cause
maybe
he,
Christian was climbing the tree to get the racket out. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was the racket. It's so funny because he shows up to the court and he has like everything official. He's like a bag with like 2 rackets and like I'm like
His
we're
wrist-
playing
he
in
has
our
his wristbands.
backyard and he
He
has like
has
his
his
wristbands and like you would think why do you need 2 rackets? Like you're just playing like chill game. Oh no, he needs
he
both.
always needs
One
to.
will be gone. The other one hopefully will stay intact.
That's the greatest thing
That is
I've
so
ever heard. All of
funny.
this.
Yeah, now it used to be me and Christian, and then like we got really good to where we're like, okay, we'll split up, and then good for us. Like if we play y'all, it we're probably not like great, but good for our little community. And so now me and my dad are partners, and Christian and my mom are partners, and it has been just
they haven't beaten us yet.
hilarious. We
Just
have not beaten
Slaughterfest.
them yet.
Wow.
Lots of rackets thrown, lots of trash cans kicked, but we have not beaten them yet.
Wow.
That's so fun.
Well, something to
I know,
look
it's
forward
really
to.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my gosh. You two are
We need to make it
beautiful.
happen.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Christian,
Yes, guys.
congratulations on the soon to be released. When is this starting, the
Thank you.
podcast?
Hopefully within
Hopefully
the next
soon.
month.
Hopefully
Yeah.
before this comes out, but maybe not.
Okay, so this is
No,
out
no,
October
it-
7th, so people can at
won't-
that
it
point.
It won't be before,
It
but
won't
that's
be
okay.
Okay. But when it does come out, say the name one more time.
For 8 men.
Okay, so people can Google that. And then Sadie, Live on Purpose, book number 6, 100 devotions for letting go of fear and following God. We
excited.
encourage everyone to grab this, especially this would be a great gift as we move
Yeah.
towards Christmas.
Yes, it would.
Put that in the stocking and smoke it. Get that for someone in your life. I think this will help a lot of people. I look forward to going through it with our kids and
Yeah.
personally. I think it'll be challenging. We just pray God's greatest blessings on you too as you continue to
Yeah.
shine so
Thank
brightly
you.
as you do.
Yes.
You're a great example for a generation coming up and for all
Yeah.
of us watching you.
Yes.
Thanks for being our friends and being who you are.
Love you guys.
Thank you guys so
Thank y'all
much.
so
We
much.
love y'all so much and love when we get to do anything with y'all. We're cheering you on and all the things. And I know, Levi, you just had a new kids book come out too. We got, so we're excited about that.
Yay.
So
Well,
Thank
never too
y'all.
early to start reading that little stuff to those babies.
I know for sure. Well, thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much for listening. And be sure to swing by LeviLusko.com to see what's going on in our world and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. In the meantime, we would love to connect with you on social media. Jenny and Levi Lusko, out.